What?
Where'd Mom go?
Space.
What? Linda's on the phone, Dad.
I had my dress half open, my head on the side, and I was trying to edge in around everybody, you know, to get in, get the ticket first, and then finally I fainted on the floor, and they'd carry me out.
Paige, you should have got that. I never heard that before.
Yeah, so I was a real movie star.
So this was your first try at Okay.
Do you feel faint? We'll get you some. We'll get you some. No, do you feel faint in front of this video?
Oh, that's right. Well, I could faint and have it for posterity now.
And then you would have to answer him.
No. Oh, that's a good idea.
Oh, I
Pass
feel
out.
a little faint. Could I go lay over there?
If he doesn't hurry up, I am going to.
Well, can I sit here?
Uh-huh. We might let you. Oh, do you want to itch it or
That sounds
rub
good for
let
me.
you rub? You don't want to get the rubber.
No, this is good. How's that?
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Oh, that looks pretty good.
Okay. So,
Okay.
well, the purpose of this is we want to ask you some questions.
Look in the camera,
This,
please.
Like-
this is your life, Grandma.
Yeah.
This is my life.
Well, except we don't know what your life is. You have to tell us. When were you born?
Oh, goodbye.
Oh.
January the 29th, 1907.
1907. And what town were you born in?
Paris, Illinois.
That's where you were born, Julia.
Yeah.
It is.
Mhm.
Oh, I didn't know you
Yeah.
were born in the the same town as your mom.
And that
Well, I'm glad we're doing this
And-
video because now you're gonna.
Yeah, Jeannie Ann was born a great, big, beautiful house on Court Street.
Is that where Kate?
Court, you remember the address?
No, oh, don't ask me any detail. I don't know anything that happened since yesterday, and I don't remember what happened.
Yeah, but you can remember back in 19.
Court
Okay, you lived in Court Street in Paris, and how long did you live in Paris?
Oh, good night. I wouldn't have any idea. You mean after I was married and had the kids, or all my
As
life?
a child, I mean, did you grow up there?
Oh, yes.
Went to grade school?
Yeah, high school, graduated from high school.
Did they have like just one grade school at the time in Paris, or one high school?
They had several.
Oh, yeah.
I had a Catholic aunt, a darling woman that I loved, her teacher. I remember her.
You had a what?
A nun,
In a
Catholic aunt, but it was,
elementary, in a public school?
yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah,
I didn't know they allowed that.
yeah, they did, and
Hmm. Okay, so you went to high school. Anything? You had two brothers?
let's see,
She's a bonton, bond.
oh yeah, Montana.
Brother Gene, right?
Brother Gene, sister Katie, and brother Bud, and we're 11 months apart.
Just the three of you?
We grew up like twins.
Hmm.
I loved him. His name was Homer. I called him Homie. Anything Homie would tell me to do, I would do it.
Now that's Bud.
Anything. That's Bud.
Yeah, he's the oldest.
Yeah.
You're the next.
Yeah.
And then there's Gene.
Jean, and then Katie. Kathleen. She was a baby.
So what'd you do when you graduated from high school?
You went to Chicago.
What year did you
Let's
graduate
see,
from high school?
first in 1924, I probably, it's like 1924, and I went to Pennsylvania with, well, they had these stage shows. My friend's brother had these stage shows. Oh, what did they call them? Roberson Smith. Something, some kind of shows, and he was the first one who hired who
Clark
was it?
Gable?
Clark Gable. He was the first. Clark Gable had his first.
Isn't that interesting?
And also, who was this? These two, this couple.
Ozzie and-
Ozzie and Harriet. I'm glad
It's
you remember.
Harriet Hillard and Ozzie Nelson.
Yeah,
They were on
wanted
TV.
They wanted me to travel with them. They liked me and they wanted me to travel with them, but I didn't.
What did they like about you?
Let me.
Why did they
Well, I was good looking when I was young. I can't
What did
imagine
you
what
do?
they liked. I just lived with the people that owned the company, Mary Maple and Al Smith. And they had a little boy, Smitty, and sometimes I would watch him, you know, when they didn't have the maids to watch him, you know.
Hmm.
And
Didn't somebody go to California and went to
Harriet.
Harriet Hilliard.
Harriet Hillard. I'm glad you remember, because
The
I
two
forget.
boys, Ricky and David, are my age and Katie's age. And I saw one of them on TV the other day.
Yeah.
They were singing. One of them, the
Oh,
one my age,
Harriet.
Ricky Nelson, was singing on TV.
See, her
And I know
mother,
David is the same age
Yeah.
as Katie.
her mother,
Ricky
see,
Nelson,
was,
you ever get
My
married
mother-
there?
I could have
You
gone
country
with
singer?
them if I wanted to, but I didn't want
What kind of work did you do there then?
Didn't
Besides,
do anything, just travel. They came from Paris, Illinois, and they were good friends. My best girlfriends, they were friends.
oh,
So they just took me along like you'd take Stacy or Kit, you know.
hmm.
So I was in Pennsylvania.
Like vaudeville almost.
What
wasn't it?
town in Penn? Did you say what town it was?
Pencil Studio. I got a job at Pencil Studio in university, but I stayed there because I met this family I liked. And then after I'd been there quite a while, Gene DeHaven come up to see me, and we hitchhiked home.
Oh.
And I remember people used to think then it was all right to do that. That was fun. He didn't have any money, and I didn't have quite enough money to take both of us, so we hitchhiked home. And we say we're brothers and sisters. I remember people looking at us saying, "Oh, brother and sister," you know. That was fun. We hitchhiked home.
So, what year did you get home?
Good night. I wouldn't know.
I mean, were you there like a year in Pennsylvania?
I must have traveled around with them for more than that. I suspect a couple of years maybe.
Ask about Clark Gable.
I just want to know what you did for 2 years
Well,
traveling
Clark,
around.
they were
Nothing. He had a lot of shows through.
Like vaudeville.
Yeah, like vaudeville.
Did you help out
Stage
at
show.
all at
Did I?
setting it up or anything?
No.
I mean, what did you do?
I just lived with them like
With
they,
who?
they lived with you here. Was just
Oh, you
like-
were younger.
Oh,
Lived
yeah,
with who?
just out of high school.
Oh, I see.
16, 17.
Who was that?
That's when I just got out of high school and I traveled with these people that own shows through Pennsylvania
Do I know
and
you?
New Jersey and different places.
Well, you would
around
see, sometimes they have the old TV repeats on Oz in
Ozzy and Harriet.
Harriet.
Well, it's not like that. It was, well, more like that place Daddy goes out there on the lake, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, but
like-
I meant, that she said about that, but it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
But my mother knew their family,
I knew the
Terry and
family.
Hilliard's family.
No.
And then she went to California, right?
I don't know where she went. Her daughter, she and her daughter were stars in the show, and they left and they wanted me to leave with them. I just remember that.
That's still interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So when you got back to Paris, what did you
Then
do?
Gosh, she knew her whole life.
Well, I did, honey. Our mother died when we was 11. My mother died. We just grew up that's why we've never kept touch with each other much, you know. I went one time, but when Bud always stayed there, he never did go away from Paris except when he had his accident and had to go to Chicago for
Surgery.
training.
Oh, therapy or something.
Yeah.
Well, your mother died when you were 11, so you're born in 1907, so she died in 1918.
That when they had that
During the
flu
war.
epidemic, you know.
The flu? Oh, yeah.
So she died of
TB,
TB.
she did, but the flu, you know, is what took her.
What is your maiden name?
Hazel Irene DeHaven.
Oh, that's right. Sure.
I
And
thought
then
you
what
knew
is
that.
what was your mother's name? Her maiden name?
Lacey, I went to our middle name, Lacey Jones.
I see.
Odd name, Lacey Jones.
And what kind of work did your father do?
He was foreman of a big mill about a block away from us. Kidder's Mill,
What kind of mill? Corn?
a grain mill.
Tell me about his leg.
Got his leg cut off there, and they laid him on the table, dining room table, and fed him whiskey and got his leg off.
Is that
He
No
got it
doctor sent here, I mean, the
what
hospital.
year was that?
I wouldn't have any idea.
I mean, how old were you roughly? Like just a small child? Or?
Yeah, small child.
So he worked a big part of his life with this one leg.
He had 2 wooden legs, and we used to stick them under the bed and just put out like this, see, for everybody to come in.
Oh my God.
I hadn't even thought about those things. Isn't that funny? my house the last year of his life when we were in Kokomo. That's just before we came to Tucson, so that would be, we came to Tucson 1945. He must have died about 44 and 44. He's 80 years old. And I had him for a year in the hospital bed with a stroke. And Harry was on away to war. All the big tragedies of my life, Harry's always taken off.
Isn't that interesting?
It
How
is.
they do that?
Yeah.
My big tragedy when the washing machine breaks down, Pete takes off too. I mean,
I joined the Navy and I
each
don't
time he
blame
had to go.
him.
And then when something else comes, he had to go to the Korean War. So
Oh, my Harry was the only one that my dad trusted enough to lift him up in his arms and set him in a wheelchair. So after Harry went to war, then why, he never got out of bed. He wouldn't let anybody lift him. He was a big man like Kevin. Kevin, just like my dad.
Your
big.
father was big. What year did you get married?
Oh, good night. Did we get married? Let's see. Casey is.
maybe you didn't get married. Maybe you just thought you did.
Let's see. Casey is all of this going on there? You be listening to. Casey is 50, isn't she? Yeah, Casey was 50 in September. We've been married about a year and a half when she came, so I don't remember the date.
52 years ago, son.
You don't celebrate your wedding anniversary?
Oh yeah, June. When did we celebrate?
I don't know. I'm only the daughter. How would I know when you got married?
Well,
That's awful.
just say it, June.
Some years ago.
About 50 and a half years ago,
Yeah.
that would make it work out right.
Let's see, that was 50 from 85.
What kind of work did your grandfather do? Your father's father?
I never knew any of my grandfathers, only saw my dad's father once. That came to our house and stayed, and he had long whiskers, and he had a Bible. That's all I remember about him.
Isn't that right?
Is that right? Where did he live? What town?
I have no idea.
Your father's father.
Yeah, I have no idea because the way we grew up and everything, we weren't concerned about anybody when we just growing up, you know.
How about your father's mother?
My father's mother, I didn't know he had one. Well, I suppose he did have one. Dad never talked about anything like that. We never talked about family or anything.
We can't get back too far with it, you hate understanding.
No, you can't. But Gene has traced the history. He has that.
He knows.
Uh,
How about your mother's father?
let's see.
She had a father.
Yeah, I don't know anything about them either. They were Joneses. All of them were big farmers, had big farms.
Were they from that same area?
Yeah, around in there. There was several brothers, one in North Dakota, and then about 3, I think, brothers. And the only one we ever knew was Uncle Corey, her brother, and he was a Quaker. They were Christians, and I presume they were Quaker people. And they were the only ones that kept in touch with us. And they'd take us out to their farm.
That's your mother's father's brother.
No, this is my mother's brother,
Your mother's brother.
Corey, and that's the only one we knew, really. So we never really knew any of our, much about our background or anything. Now Cecil might have, our half-sister who was older, she might have.
How did you end up with a half-sister?
Well, she came first. mother died of childbirth or what, but anyhow, he had Cecil. And he married my mother, which was Cecil's,
Aunt. They were sisters.
yeah, sisters.
Sister, Aunt
And she
Cecil and her mama were
raised,
Aunt.
she raised Cecil as well as that until she died.
She raised who?
Cecil, my half-sister.
Helped raise you?
No, she raised
Your
Cecil,
mother.
and then she had us. My mother
Oh, I
stayed,
see.
but
Okay.
my mother was sick. Oh, that's all I remember.
Yeah. How old was your mother when she died?
36, just about like me.
Uh-huh.
So she was young.
Hmm.
She had long blonde hair you could sit on. I can just remember just a very few things about her. And I thought after I became a Christian, I thought maybe she was a Christian because we used to always have bakers come to the door then from the railroad that was closed asking for food, you know. And I remember my mother said, "Old feet of it might be an angel unaware." And after I knew the Bible, I knew where that come from. So they always went the tramps that sit out on the porch and they'd pick up, you know, food out to them.
Was Paris like a major railway intersection or something?
No, there was nothing there much except there was the railroad and that big mill where my dad was foreman was about all there was. Wasn't anything. But you've been there, have you, little town?
Yeah.
And
That's
there
a
wasn't,
fairly big town.
well now, but then it wasn't much anything.
Did you live just in a house or on a farm or?
No, we lived in that house barn there, lived there as long as we, that little house where you were on Carroll Street. And I had a good old dad. He'd get up in the winter, cold winter mornings. I can remember that. We had stoves then, you know, these round stoves, and he'd get them real hot and get us kids up to put on our long underwear to go to school. And we had to walk about a mile. He was a good old dad. He really was.
Well, I'm asking all the questions, Jan. You know, just.
Jean Ann knows things to know. I must have told her through the yeller, catch a feller.
How did you meet my father?
Oh, yeller, catch a feller.
How old were you, Grandma, when you met Harry?
Let's see, when I got married, I was 26, I think. And we'd gone together about a good year. I just
But how did you meet him?
I can't even remember whether I met him first and introduced him to my sister or whether she met
I
him.
thought you went in a brokerage and
I
you were
did.
looking for a yellow
I-
pair of shoes with the wear the yellow
pair
dress.
of shoes was in that store, and then I went in and he was there because it was noon or something and his health had gone to eat. And I wanted
The
the yellow
brokerage.
shoes and he almost died because I bought my shoes at the same place all my life there in Paris, and they had just ruined my feet. I wore little shoes, and he had a fit, so he fitted me properly with yellow shoes, and I had a yellow dress.
She was wearing a size, what, 4? And
Yeah,
she should have worn a size
A
7.5. Isn't that right?
That's why Harry goes with me now, and he says to the fella, "Let me see that shoe." He says. But that,
7.5.
I can't remember then. I just can't remember too much went on.
So tell how when you got married, about your ceremony.
Well, then I stayed in Paris. I can't even remember. I went to Chicago and worked, come back to Paris and got a job as bookkeeper at Montgomery Ward. And I worked in our office was upstairs. You could look down, and Harry's store was at a corner, so I could look right down at it. And my boss hated him because all of the customers went in there. See, it was a brokerage store that had things a little cheaper than Montgomery Ward.
Wait a minute. This is in Chicago or back
No,
in
this
Paris?
is Paris, back at Paris, Illinois.
Oh. Now, when did you go to Chicago then? Did you work,
Well,
you said you
that
worked
was-
there?
Yeah, I worked there. I was cashier in a restaurant.
This is before you got married?
Oh yeah, this is way back after I came back from Pennsylvania. Then I went to Chicago with a girl whose folks lived in Paris.
I see.
And and then I managed. Can you imagine this a Walgreens drugstore, the eating place, you know. Then it was different from now. If you had initiative, now see, that sounds like Jeanette calling me. It was pretty easy to get jobs.
Yeah, but that would have been, born in 1907, and then,
1924, I graduated, so all of this comes after I graduated.
this is just before the Depression.
Yeah, because on the depression, because when the depression came, I went back home. I quit my job in Chicago, went back home, and everybody at that big mill where my dad worked was laid off except him, and he made $7 a week. So I went back up to Chicago and got my job back.
You got your job right back? And how, then, let's see, if you got married when you were 26, that would have been 1933.
Yeah, well,
So the Depression was, still was in a depression.
I don't think.
Just about coming out of it then, I guess. Yeah.
I don't remember except that one time that we were so shocked, you know. But in a little town, they didn't feel it like, you know, you own your own home, you have a little garden with pigs and chickens and stuff. Horse and a buggy in that little, you seen where we lived, that little old place. Imagine having all that. We thought it was a lot of room. We were kids. Grandpa Dave, it looks just like
I got a young
Dave.
sister like this, and you just forgot to tell me we adopted you.
Yeah,
I
we
was
have
adopted at her.
We adopted her.
poor Barb. We're forgetting about her daddy.
Yeah, well, by the way, Marilyn Bowe's together prayer, but tell me when you're taping.
I'm taping now.
Okay, Mom, what I want to ask you is, and this is really important to me, for me on the video, is how you became a Christian.
How I became a Christian. Well, when you were born, I had the lady that lived next door to us in Paris took care of me. Came to the house and took care of me. And even there when the baby was born, you know. And she said to me, then when we went to Danville, I'm getting confused here. Who was born at Danville? Was that
Kathy.
Kathy.
I was born in Paris.
Yeah, she said, if I'd sent you a little booklet that cost $1, and that was a lot of money to her. She used to go in and borrow every week a few dollars for Mary to die. She's a little old widow. Would you read it? And I said, oh, sure. And it was the unity. All it was just what they call the silent unity. And it would always say, and we were in Kokomo, it would say, go to the church of your choice. And I met some of these unity people, and when thought I was having real fellowship with them, but they, when it came down and something came up, they didn't believe the virgin birth, or, you know, though I didn't understand that, they weren't Christians. And so I went to the nearest church, which was a Baptist church
Where was this?
on the corner at Kokomo,
Okay.
down several blocks. So we went to a Baptist church, or I did. Got your kids one. And it was a liberal church that really didn't give out the gospel. It was more one of these, don't do this and don't do that, because they don't drink. And one time Jean Ann come home, we're putting this all on here, and she was coming down the stairs and she said, "But Mother, Daddy drinks whisker."
Whiskers.
So anyhow,
Legalistic.
yeah,
Not liberal,
legalistic, yeah,
legalistic.
well, it was liberal too, because I realize that now, but I didn't then. But anyhow, they had an evangelist come, and Harry and I guess you kids, I think, both of you were with us, and I heard the gospel for the first time, that Christ had died for me, you know, and shed his blood.
You've never heard that before?
No, not even in that church.
That's amazing.
And I was just, you might say, instantaneous walking down the street. I said to Harry, I'm going to follow Christ for the rest of my life, whether I have to give you up, whatever. You know, like it says, I didn't know that. I didn't know anything. But that was it. And I never have been sorry. Never. So that's how I was saved. So then I made a lot of mistakes and had to grow and get in the Word, stay and grow, and get the navigators like Doug Cozart, you know, was there. He was worried because I was still getting that Unity magazine, you know. Mean anything to me. So then, you know, I learned to walk as obedient as you can walk being a sinner. That was it.
Why,
So I had to-
did
I had
when
to
we
work the hard. I mean, I had to go the hard way, not having any background of religious background or anything. See, nothing.
when you went to Arizona though, I mean there was God had people out there.
Yeah, well, that's
That
where
was
that's
sort of
where he
disciple
took
you.
it. Yeah, that's it.
Then tell the video how you got to Arizona from Kokomo, Indiana.
I had my father laying there dying, Harry off to war, and you two kids are to take care of. And so the doctors said, he had the asthma so bad that the doctors said, really, you should get her to a dry climate. And he said, Tucson is a place that I would recommend. So I went home and told my dad. The doctor said, Harry's gone, so I had to make this decision myself. So I said, all right, we'll go to Tucson, Arizona. Just like that.
He was in the Navy. Dad was in the
Yeah,
Navy.
he was in the Navy, so he said, wait, just hold on. So when I told Harry that I felt we had to go, my dad said, I'm going with you.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, I said, I'm going with you, I'm not going to leave you. So how would we take him, a paralyzed, great big 180? So we thought, well, we'll get a trailer. And then the Lord, in his mercy, took my dad real quickly. Dad said to me this one night, better call the kids, but see, so now if they want to see me. Oh, and in the meantime, I was just learning to have Bible club and bring the kids in, you know, and everything. And so I talked to my dad of the Lord and had the pastor come, and he was saved. And so now where did I leave off? As I said, I have.
Okay, and he called Uncle Gene
Oh,
and Uncle Bud.
he said, call the kids if they want to see me. And,
He knew, didn't he?
Yeah, he knew.
Did you know?
Well, I was so tired. It's like with Louie, when you're nursing and have two kids and everything, you're just so tired you don't hardly know. No, I didn't, because he ate every day and was, you know, always had a good appetite and everything. Never complained. And
You said he was paralyzed? Why was he
Well,
paralyzed?
he had a stroke on one side, and on this side he had his leg off.
Oh.
So Harry built a big thing that he could take hold of, and with the one good side, he was always a strong man. But of course I had to, well, he could feed with this pan, but I had to use the bed pan, you know, and everything. And,
So you called Uncle Gene at Cape and everybody?
yeah, I called down home, and they said, oh, that's silly. But, Katie got to thinking about it, and she said, well, maybe we ought to go. My sister Katie, so Katie and Bud and Cecil and Cecil's boy came up, and the very night they came in to see him, or the day, I don't remember just what it was, and he died right while they were there, and they said to me,
Did they die while while they were there?
Just had got there.
Almost like he hung on
Yeah.
till his family got there.
And I was tired, so they said, go rest. And so I went in to rest. And they come running, Cecil, because, you know, it was kind of emotional and everything. She said, oh, pray for him, pray for him. And I said, why? And she said, he's dead. I said, well, no use praying for him. Pray for us.
But didn't you say, though, that when he took his last breath, I thought you said something like a spirit left him or something, or somebody said something.
No, he said both of his wives, when they died, that's probably what you're...
Yeah,
But he was holding them in his arms, and it was like a breath of air. So I don't know when the spirit leaves, we don't know.
But did he say that to you, or
Yeah, he said that
were you there when he said it?
yeah, well, that wasn't right then. That was, she's thinking about something he told me during the time, probably he's sick or something. He almost was
So
like,
now
you
he
know.
died, so then you got a trailer.
So there was,
And Dad was in the Navy, though.
yeah, so Dad said, well, now wait, I think I can get out. I forget why he got out right then.
The Navy.
Something happened, I don't know whether, what. And he said, well, hold on just a minute. A little while, see, until I get there and see if I can't go with you. But somehow it worked out that he got out of it.
I remember him coming
Service.
home.
So I sat there on the porch and I saw this black car go by. And I said, oh, that car would just be perfect to go with. And then we got that car. And then there was only one trailer in that whole town. And we got that. And I got money from maybe Dad's insurance or something that was able to buy
Amazing.
that. I think back that far along how God will provide.
Putting his hand on all those years. Then you went to Tucson, and Katie got better. Didn't she have
You got better when we got to Texas. She started getting better.
breathing better?
Oh, that was wonderful. Because she, most of the time, was in bed, you know, not getting the breath good and everything.
That's hard for a little child.
So, but through this time, I let Jeannie Ann go over and eat at a restaurant because my dad was
remember that.
sick. And so then they took Dad's body and took him back because all the arrangements and everything had to be made at Paris. And Jean Ann was eating at this restaurant, and some girl in there had trench mouth, we call it. There's another thing you call it sometime. We always call it trench mouth. And the whole neighborhood about got it. And Jean Ann was one of them. And on the way down and I was so tired, she wouldn't eat and she wouldn't open her mouth. She wouldn't complain. And here when we got to Paris, and I could look at her, here she, her mouth was a mess, and then we had to take her to get raw penicillin. I've often thought that might have ruined your health.
One doctor told me that the raw penicillin probably was the reason that I couldn't carry
every hour we
children.
had to take her to the doctor.
Wait, I don't understand. I thought you were on your way to Tucson. How did
No,
you
we
get
were.
back?
She met after Grandpa died on the way to the funeral.
Grandpa died,
Oh.
and we went, then Eric got out of the service, and we came to Tucson, got the only trailer that was in Kokomo.
And tell them about that car. That was interesting.
But you were living in Kokomo when your dad died?
Yeah. And then
Your dad
he
was
went,
living with you,
yeah,
but
for
he
a
was
year.
buried in Paris.
Paris.
And Stacy, why don't you sit in between your grandmother and your mom?
Oh,
Just
she's
for a
gonna
minute,
hit it.
sweetie.
Your picture.
And can you get Betty on here
for
too?
posterity, honey. This is
Are you
for
doing all right?
posterity.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
This is for posterity.
Could you, sweetie? Get Betty in here somehow?
I've been getting Betty on
Yeah,
and off.
he's,
Did I get this long nose from you?
Lord
No,
knows, I think, no, you get it
I don't
from
think
Harry.
so.
No,
Got
look
it
at,
from my mother.
look at this
From
nose.
Harry. What's wrong
We don't
with
have,
his nose?
Your nose
Grandmother.
doesn't look like that.
No, mine.
no, and you got a cute nose too. She's got a cute, and Mom's got a cute nose.
Oh.
But he's got a nice looking nose for a
I think
man.
that the Havens have a good looking noses, don't they? Or
Big, like
Oh, they big?
A, and then Kevin, that's the
Okay.
T, and
You have a Jones nose, and they have the Haven noses, and the Schwank, and Stacy's got
Yeah,
a Haven
Schwank
and a
and a
Schwank
Schwank.
nose.
Pretty.
Sorry about that, Stacy.
Isn't that funny? We all hate what we have.
Yep.
I always hated that little turned up nose.
I think it's cute.
You know, that little Brenda that visiting tonight,
And
she
she's
reminds me of,
sweet.
when I look at her, I think I'm looking at Stacy.
She's
She reminds
darling.
me so much of Stacy.
There,
They
she's
look
a
like-
sweet girl too.
Uh,
She really is.
Mom, tell Stacy about when your mother died and she was in a casket in the living room. They made you wipe up water. So tell her about
Oh, they.
because that left an impression.
They
on
have, yeah, they have had her at home. They made people up in and wipe up around the, you know, my hand and feet. I was scared to death.
Like what?
When my mother was laying there in the casket, see, they have them at home, and you
Yeah.
know, and it made me go in and wipe up where she was in there, you know, get ready for the funeral. And I remember, I can remember that impression, being so scared to death, you know, or,
I think that's one reason you might have too always loved kids or been good to us as children because you were so understanding as a mother. Like, you know, well, I can remember as a kid that bothered me, and I think that's one reason that we grew up with maybe good self-esteem or feeling worth. We always had a feeling of being, you know, some kids
Loved,
grow up,
you were
yeah, we were
loved.
loved,
yeah.
totally accepted and loved like we were. So, you know, that's a big thing for a child to say that they were totally accepted. I can remember on the phone when I was little, and I don't think you realized that sometimes you might have done it aware that I was listening, and sometimes you might have not done it, you know, knowing. But you always said, "Oh, Jeannie can do that," or "I remember she cleaning my pans," or
You
whatever
always
it was.
did. I was just telling the truth.
I know, but whatever it was, it gave me confidence to know whatever there was in life, I could do it. Somehow I could go and I could do it because you gave me
You always
the
did.
the confidence.
Oh, good. I got the help and she got the confidence.
Do I do that to you, Stacy?
Yes, you do.
No, you never know.
I think I
You
raised
just
the
do
kids
the
then
best.
like you raised me, with the big things in life maybe are important, but the little trivial things aren't that important. You know, like love and acceptance and self-worth is probably the more important things that carry them through life more than making them make a bed, which is important. But that to
Oh,
me was
yeah.
well, I mean that was important to me as a
Well,
child.
we probably didn't have a bed to make.
Oh yeah. That's what it was all about. I don't remember you
Oh,
ever
we
asking
slept
me to do dishes.
I never had to. You
I know, I was
always
gonna
did
say,
it.
I don't remember you ever asked me to do anything.
They always went and did their clothes, ironed them, and I thought, good night, I don't have to do it. You know, I never asked them ever.
You
They
never,
always did. Jean Ann particularly, Jean Ann was really a help to me. It was
I liked it because you told me how wonderful I was.
She would have been, but she was always sick, so everything had to kind of, you know, go around her because she's always sick.
Yeah, but you made me want to do it because I felt
glad.
so loved, and I thought, my mom appreciates this so much. All she did is tell me how wonderful I was all the time, so I kept doing it.
Well, remember that when you get kids, will you?
You wouldn't let me do the dishes at your house.
Oh, see?
We offered and offered and offered.
Well, you were
You
on
just made
vacation.
breakfast
You
and
were
Well,
on
now I
vacation.
want to tell you, she had 2 girls. You can tell by all the videos. But when I was young and I was a new Christian and I did like you at 9 years old, I wanted to live for God. I loved Him more than anything in the world. I wanted to live for Him. At 9 years, I can remember that, walking down that aisle thinking, God is the most wonderful thing I ever had in my life. I felt engulfed by His love. And then I knew that there was power in prayer. I learned that young. You taught us, if there was any problem, let's sit down and pray about it. If we needed clothes or a dress we didn't have, let's sit down and pray about it. So I prayed for those bicycles.
Yeah, Dave.
And I knew that God would give me a bicycle. I didn't have any idea He was going to give 2 of them, but I knew we were going to get
Davy
one.
didn't either. She didn't know they was going to get 2 of them.
No, but the thing was, then I decided, well, if you can pray for a bike, you can pray for a baby brother.
Oh, please.
And I prayed
She
for a
did.
baby brother. And so now there's 3 of us.
And then she went off and left me to raise him.
I helped raise him for a few years. I got up in the middle of the night and took care of him and bathed. I bathed him, I fed him his bottle. I can remember being in high school, I guess beginning of high school or end of junior high, and getting up 3 o'clock in the morning before school and feeding him. I was crazy about Louis.
I know it.
Crazy about it. To me, he was mine. I
Yeah,
prayed
I
for
know.
him. I was mine.
And gave me, she said, my mother having a child at 43, I was 43. Oh, she thought that was the worst thing she ever heard of.
And now they've got, I saw that Catholic laboring, is that it? And there's an article in there. It says, baby after 40 with a question mark, and underneath said, yes. Yeah, I was going to read the article, but now they're saying, why not have a child after 40?
Yeah, if you can.
But maybe in those days, maybe it was embarrassing. I don't know.
No,
After
it
40, I
was.
don't know.
It was a tumor, a big tumor. They didn't expect a baby. And then my blood pressure was so high, he didn't want me to have him. And so Harriet, I talked to her, and we decided, no, it was on the way. We would, just trust. And oh, how glad. And I was telling to someone, that's one thing I always thank you for, Peter. You let him come up here and send him money to come, and everything. Because that was, he loved Leanne, and that was his life. Carl, and you brought all of them, didn't he?
Roger.
And I
Marilyn.
used to feel, I used to feel terrible about that, and I said to you one time, well, oh, that isn't right, him always coming up here, and you said, well, he's family. That's what your daddy said. So after the Lord took him to her, I was glad he had all those things, at that time.
Tell about the time that I didn't have enough bus. I wanted it on the tape. I didn't have enough.
Benny.
I had 19 cents or something. I needed 20 cents to get on the bus to go to school, and there was no money. I needed 1 more penny to go to school, to ride the bus downtown.
And I opened the drawer in the
Well, you had
kitchen.
prayed for it or something, did you?
Well,
For what?
probably, we prayed all the time.
I know, we're always praying.
We prayed, but I opened this drawer and there was a track somebody had given me, and I threw it in there, and had a great big shiny penny in the middle. It was something around a penny.
And I got the bus money to go to school. I can remember all kinds of things like that.
that was a good experience. It didn't hurt us to go out there and not have anything, not in here. It really was.
That was really pioneering.
Because he got better health, and we were all so busy. And
Well, I'll tell you what, since it's getting late, the next time we'll take up from the trip to Arizona.
all
okay?
right, okay.
And we'll finish the rest of your life.
The rest of my life.
Oh, we just
Up
get
to
up and
this
sing
point.
now and dance or something at the interlude, the intermission.
Well,
Wait, Betty wants to sing.
Oh yeah, Betty, sing how great thou
Oh.
art. Sing how
No, I
great
don't
thou
know.
art.
She sings very well.
I know you do.
Well, that's all
We're all
sing.
Well, Betty, that's Betty
How
White
did you
we're
meet
looking at.
Mom? Hey, why don't we get this on the before you
Yeah, how
leave?
did we? I don't
Ask
know.
her how she met Mom and Dad.
Why don't you ask her? You just ask her.
Betty, how'd you meet me? Aren't you sorry?
Well, let's see. Now I came in 1978. I came down to Tucson, and I'd met you at Palo Verde, I believe. Barb Haycraft and Barb Paulson. There's a woman you have to meet in the church, and I met Hazel, and then you all invited me to come over to your house for lunch, I think it was, and immediately I felt like it was just at home, and I just really liked both Harry and Hazel. Remember resting on
Are
the
those
couch.
wrinkles?
Oh, Mom.
I'm just kidding.
Those are wrinkles.
Oh, God.
That's beauty in there. Look at
Look,
that
yeah.
beauty.
Good. Well,
Look at that
19
beauty.
1978.
I
August
think
of 1978.
You remember the month?
It even looked them out and everything.
boy, that.
Well, I remember.
It's almost like Betty is like a daughter, or part of her Marilyn
from
and
the
Betty
beginning,
and Barb.
from the very beginning, because Aunt Nellie came every winter, you know, and she almost drove Harry to up the hill. And so I remember that we went one time, we just hadn't met
came over
you
to the
long,
house.
and unloaded he could about Nellie, because she was driving him crazy, and Betty was kind of she listened to it, you know. You know what, did Harry tell you what Nellie did when she made her will, Pete?
No.
Well, you know, you know, Aunt Nellie is, well, you don't really know Aunt Nellie. Anyhow, she made out her will years ago when we bought that duplex, you know, for her, so she'd have money to coming in every month, you know, and she invested it there in Tucson. So she willed Harry that duplex and any money she had in the bank. And so when she died, sorry, the last winter she's there, she got the last payment for the duplex. Oh, we laughed at it.
So she sold it.
Nobody, no, yeah, she sold it. She got the payment, the very last
I know,
payment.
Uncle
We were
Don
so
was-
relieved, you know, and everything. And here she had never changed her will, and so she left him the duplex. She didn't have, and the money in the bank, which she didn't have any. Boy, that's
Well, Uncle Don went on and on about this. Sold the duplex and had no money in the bank and left them both to you in the will.
That's the way she was. Oh, Harry used to get so frantic, he'd almost die.
Well, you know what? She was.
But you know what?
She had a good heart. It
Yeah,
wasn't.
she did. And she was good.
Dad,
to you kids.
Dad is a perfectionist,
Yeah.
and Aunt Nellie never got married.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just like they were just so far at different ends of the world or something. And Uncle Don somewhere was in the middle. He was a perfect. Uncle Don's pretty much a
Oh, he's
perfectionist.
awful. Up and down, terrible. I feel sorry for.
We can't wait to send him.
Oh, and Harry hears all of this. We'll get a divorce before I'm 80.
What do you got one on your 80th birthday? Oh, I got a summons for a divorce. You know?